Ever wondered what made Henry VIII one of the most infamous kings in English history? Today, we delve into the life and times of this iconic monarch. His reign, spanning nearly 4 decades, was marred by political and religious upheaval, scandalous marriages, and a notoriously volatile temper. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more. In the next few minutes, we'll be unraveling 5 fascinating facts about this intriguing king, shedding light on his character, his reign, and his lasting impact on English and world history. Number 2 is shocking. So, let's dive into the life of one of the most controversial monarchs in English history. Number 1. Did you know he was never meant to be king? Henry VIII wasn't born to be king, but fate had other plans. The second son of Henry VII and Elizabeth of York, he was thrust into the spotlight when his elder brother Arthur, the initial heir, succumbed to the sweating sickness at only 15 years old. Quite a grim way to go, really. Then, at the tender age of 17, Henry's father passed away, pushing him from the life of a prince to that of a king. But did this sudden responsibility change him? Not much, it seems. Young Henry continued to live a life of luxury, indulging in hunting, hawking, dancing, gambling, and playing cards, often at the expense of his kingly duties. Who needs to rule a kingdom when there's a good game of cards to be had, right? So, a life of leisure turned into a life of royalty for young Henry. And as we'll see, he certainly left his mark on that throne. Number 2. He was a merciless king. Did you know he had 72,000 people executed during his 37-year reign? That works out to 5 1/3 people executed by Henry per day. As Henry aged, his reign took a darker turn. Once a lover of leisure, later years saw him become increasingly paranoid. The once jovial king, fond of hunting and dancing, became a figure of fear. His temper, never quite under control, began to rule his decisions. The Tower of London, a symbol of royal power and authority, became a crowded prison under Henry's orders. His rule was not just marked by opulence, but also by brutal executions. Men and women, noble and commoner, all fell victim to his mercilessness. The numbers are staggering. It's estimated that between 57,000 and 72,000 people were executed during his 37-year reign. That's not just a king's decree, that's a dictator's rule. Henry's reign was marked by fear and death, earning him a place in history as a merciless king. His legacy, while grand, is also a chilling testament to the power of fear and paranoia. Number 3. Did you know Henry could speak over 5 different languages and played several musical instruments? Despite his ruthless rule, Henry was a man of many talents. This isn't just about ruling a kingdom, but about his skills that transcended the throne. Henry possessed a sharp mind, fluent in Latin, French, ancient Greek, and Spanish. His linguistic prowess was matched by his musical talents. He could play the lute, a precursor to the modern guitar, and the organ. He also had a beautiful singing voice, but he wasn't just all brains and no brawn. Henry loved sports, particularly tennis and jousting, showcasing his athleticism. His personal life, too, was far from ordinary. He had 6 wives, but contrary to popular belief, he didn't discard them in quick succession. His first marriage lasted nearly 24 years, while his shortest, to Anne of Cleves, endured a mere 6 months. Henry was more than just a king, he was a multi-talented individual. His life was a complex tapestry woven with threads of talent, power, and controversy. Number 4. Paranoia and illness. Did you know? Henry's fear of illness shaped much of his life and reign. This monarch was haunted by a dread of sickness and death, particularly of the sweating sickness and the plague. Understandably so, as this was a time before the advent of modern medicine, sanitation, and the knowledge of bacteria and viruses. Not to mention, by the tender age of 30, Henry had already been stricken with smallpox and malaria. His paranoia led him to take drastic measures to avoid infection. Whenever an outbreak occurred, he would exit the bustling city of London and limit his interactions with ambassadors. Even when his wife, Anne Boleyn, caught the sweating sickness in 1528, Henry kept his distance until she recovered. In this way, Henry may have been a poor husband, but he was an effective infection minimizer. Henry's fear of disease often trumped his duties as a husband and king. Number 5. Did you know Henry was a published author? Henry wasn't just a king and a sportsman, he was a published author as well. Quite the Renaissance man, wasn't he? Henry was not one to shy away from a debate, especially when it came to matters of faith. In response to Martin Luther's 95 Theses, which criticized the Catholic Church, Henry penned a whopping 30,000-word rebuttal. That's right, 30,000 words. His book ardently defended the Church in Rome, earning him the title of Defender of the Faith from none other than the Pope himself. However, this title didn't stick around for long. As history tells us, Henry would later break away from the Catholic Church, causing a religious upheaval that would forever change the course of England's history. His main reason? He wanted to divorce his wife. To achieve this, he created the Church of England, becoming its supreme head. Henry's reign was marked by religious upheaval, forever changing the course of England's history. Henry VIII's life was a mix of leisure, fear, talent, and ruthlessness. A king thrust onto the throne at a young age, he lived a life of indulgence, enjoying hunting, hawking, and dancing. Yet, beneath the jovial exterior, he was a man plagued by fear and paranoia, obsessed with sickness and death. His reign was marked by a brutal exercise of power, with an estimated 57,000 to 72,000 people executed under his orders. But he was also a man of many talents, mastering languages, musical instruments, and sports. A published author, he became the first English king to do so, initially defending the Catholic Church before creating his own, the Church of England. His legacy is a complex one, a blend of brutality and brilliance, fear and flamboyance. He reshaped the religious landscape of England, and his life and reign remain a source of fascination. Henry VIII, a man of many facets, continues to fascinate us, centuries after his death.